All right, breaking news for every Biafran all over the world because the Biafran struggle has actually made history today by hitting a milestone as Biafra makes United States of America congressional history as Nnamdi testify on human rights abuses and transnational repression. In other words, the Biafran government in exile has taken both the zoo and the Finnish authority to U.S. Congress, and the matter is being handled as I'm talking to you now. These are many approaches from the different factions is what we are interested in. Multi-dimensional approaches in making sure that the leader of the prime minister of the Biafran Republic government in exile, in the person of Mazi Simon Ekpa, and also the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, is freed as quickly as possible. You must understand this, and that is why we are hoping that as soon as possible this will actually yield a good result. Now in full detail of this history, let us give you the full news in detail, because as I'm even talking to you, the zoo government are scared because I saw this on their news platform. Most of them have already started carrying it on their news platform. That is how important it is. The news. A major milestone for the Biafran cause unfolded in Washington, D.C. as Nnamdi, acting Prime Minister of the Biafran Republic government in exile, submitted historic testimony to the United States Congressional Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission on July 25, 2025. Nkeri's statement, delivered in his capacity as a Biafran American political and human rights activist, marks the first time the Biafran issue has officially entered the United States congressional record in modern history. Nkeri's testimony was submitted in response to the Commission's June 24 hearing titled Transnational Repression, Trends and Policy Approaches, co-chaired by Congressman Chris Smith and Congressman Jim McGovern. Congressman Smith, a long-time critic of human rights abuses in Nigeria, previously chaired a March 2025 hearing specifically focused on the persecution of Christians in Nigeria, a country he described as is spiraling into authoritarianism. Now, the testimony laid bare Nigerians' alleged transnational repression against Biafrans, spotlighting the extraordinary rendition of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya and the ongoing politically motivated trial of Simon Ekpa in Finland also. Nkeri accused the Nigerian government of deploying international intimidation tactics to silence voices advocating for Biafran self-determination, calling both cases clear example of cross-border human rights violation, which is actually the case. He also urged the United States Congress to act decisively by recommending visa bans, economic sanction, and suspension of bilateral assistance to Nigeria unless Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is released and granted safe passage. Nkeri further called for punitive measures against Finland, including potential tariffs should it continue with what he described as a politically compromised judicial process targeting Simon Ekpa. The testimony now permanently part of the United States Congressional Archive was received as a watershed moment by Biafran activists and diaspora communities. Many hailed Nkeri's action as a long overdue step towards internationalizing Biafran's decades-long struggle for autonomy, justice, and accountability, as the case may be. The legal observers have noted that the inclusion of such testimony elevates the Biafran discourse beyond social media and street protests to former diplomatic and legislative platform. Analysts say it could add pressure on Western governments to re-examine their silence on the Nigerian-Biafran conflict, especially amid rising reports of state-sponsored repression. The full testimony and related hearing documents are accessible. You can go to the site, the Biafran site, and see for yourself, the full testimony for those who really are doubting this particular move. Let me tell you, this is the kind of information I want to be hearing. This is the kind of information I want to see, because it is very important. But before we go further, I want you to watch the video of the congressman, handling critical issue based on this. Please watch this video and make sure you share to as many Biafrans as possible so that they can know what is really happening in Biafran land. Enjoy.
As the bishop, the Catholic Bishop of Makurdi Diocese, the capital of Benue State in Nigeria. I am the shepherd of one of the 4 dioceses, Catholic dioceses in Benue. We have others, Anglican, Methodist, and Pentecostals, which sort of the Benue State has a population of about 6.1 million people, 2 million of whom are those under my care as the bishop of the diocese. Benue State is about 98% Christian, with very few Muslims living in towns. Nigeria, and eventually my diocese and the state of Benue, have become in recent years one of the most dangerous and insecure places for Christians. Christians and Muslims are nearly evenly divided among Nigeria's large population of over 200 million persons. Islamist extremists are fiercely contesting the possession, control, and governing law of the land, especially in the country's northern and central regions, the latter of which is where Benue is located. There are constant ethnic, political, and religious conflicts over land and allegiance. Constitutionally, we are a secular country, but our unity has been fragile. Political and religious actions and even public speech have been carefully managed to avoid accusations of religious bias and political tensions. Today, the clear influence of Islamist extremists has changed the traditional social dynamics of tribe, ethnicity, religion, and the social status in Nigeria. Because just recently, at the beginning of the Ramadan fast, 12 states in northern Nigeria have declared closed schools so that they attend to this. And you can imagine, which other country in the world does that? Saudi Arabia is not doing it. Afghanistan is not doing it. Baghdad is not doing it, but then Nigeria is practicing. What kind of Islam are they practicing? 12 states, and not only Muslims are living in these places. What happens with the educational program or curriculum of the country? But this is what we are going through every day in Nigeria. A long-term Islamic agenda to homogenize the population has been implemented over several presidencies through a strategy to reduce and eventually eliminate the Christian identity of half of the population. This strategy includes both violent and non-violent actions, such as the exclusion of Christians from positions of power and adoption of such church members, the raping of women, the killing and exploitation of Christians, the destruction of churches and farmlands of Christian farmers, followed by the occupation of such lands by the Fulani herders, and also changing the names of these villages. They are taking over the places, so you clearly see an expansionist approach and Islamic, and then they are making the people now flee and leave their villages, and they conquer it. The quest to Islamalize the land appears high on the agenda of some of the powerful and influential Muslims in Nigeria. There is a campaign to take land to spread Islam, and there is the hemorrhaging of Christian farmers from the central region of Nigeria and Benue State, and Makurdi Diocese in particular, as they are forced to abandon fertile lands that used to feed the nation, which classify Benue as the food basket of the nation.
coming from the IPOB, because they came out recently to make a statement regarding Simon and his case in Finland. This is something you definitely need to see and understand. We also have a news. Our last update will be on the case of Simon, because the Finnish government came out recently to give clear and distinctive reportage regarding his extradition back to Nigeria. There's an update regarding this man's processing, which we all need to see. And you definitely have to watch this video up until the very end, because if you miss any part, you are going to miss the most important section of this video. So with all of that being said, let's kickstart today's briefing with our very first update right about now. So the very first news we have for you here is the fact that some Kenyan delegates are currently in Abuja, Nigeria, to meet with the FG regarding the case of Nnamdi Kanu. So the question here is, why are these guys in Nigeria? And why would they want to talk about Nnamdi Kanu's case with the president or with the FG? Well, for clarity, take a look at this update coming from the 27th of June of 2025, where it states that the Kenyan court declares Nnamdi Kanu's transfer to Nigeria illegal. And this was coming on that particular day when a court seated in Kenya ruled against the way and manner the Kenyan government shipped Kanu together with Nigeria's government into Nigeria. In that particular case, he was granted, that is, Nnamdi Kanu was given a 10 million Kenyan shillings fee for damages, and that is not even all. The High Court seated in that country also informed the country that, see, you must send delegates to Nigeria. You can't just pay him 10 million Kenyan shillings for damages only. You have to travel to Nigeria yourself and see with the FG, discuss with them, and have a possible dialogue and diplomatic relations with these people, because we as a country, we played a massive role in the abduction of this man. So you guys have to travel to Nigeria and have talks with the FG. So as we speak, these individuals are in the country already, and they're going to have talks with the FG before tomorrow being the 18th of July of 2025, when Nnamdi Kanu will appear before the Federal High Court to continue with his trial. And interestingly, the judge who gave this declaration, the judge who gave this judgment on behalf of Nnamdi Kanu, is known as Justice Muita. Yes. Sharing right now on your screen is a picture of this judge. And for a fact, this judge happens to be one of the top judges in that country. This individual has handled high cases in Kenya. Sharing right now on your screen is the latest case this judge handled on the 3rd of July of 2025, where it states adjournment and protections in blogger disappearance case. This case happens to be the biggest in that part of the world as we speak. And this judge, Judge Muita, is very decisive in nature. This judge is not scared of the government. This judge only follows the rule of law. This judge only follows the constitution. And this is the individual who instructed Kenya to send delegates into Nigeria so as to have talks with the FG that will possibly lead to the release of Nnamdi. Well, still talking about Nnamdi Kanu, yesterday being the 16th of July of 2025, Aloy Ejimakor traveled, or he went to the DSS facility. He wrote to the DSS asking them to grant him permission to meet with Nnamdi Kanu in the facility. Yes, and his permission or his petition was granted. And just in case you don't know who Aloy Ejimakor is, showing right now on your screen is his bio page on Twitter. It reads, activist, attorney, proudly and zealously defending human rights, including the rights of those demonized as miscreants on account of self-determination. So this is the individual who visited Nnamdi Kanu yesterday in DSS facility. So what was the conversations had between Nnamdi Kanu and this particular individual? Well, they talked about his case tomorrow, being the 18th of July. Aloy Ejimakor briefed him on how he should comport himself, things he should say, and how the case will be presented, and every single thing within. Still in that conversation, Nnamdi Kanu informed him that, see, I want you to tell Biafrans something they need to hear at this particular point in time, something that will change our economy and change the way we move going forward. So the question here is, what did Nnamdi Kanu inform Aloy Ejimakor to do and execute? Well, for clarity and to get the exact wordings, I have to show you the tweet released by Aloy yesterday, being the 16th of July of 2025. It states, at today's visitation, Oyendo MNK directed me to, on his behalf, call on Ndi Igbo to go beyond their families and take proactive steps to extend the famed Igbo apprenticeship system to the 13 states where Igbos are indigenous, and to Igala, Idoma, Egede, Ejegam, Anang, and Ibibio. So as you can clearly see, Nnamdi Kanu wants the apprenticeship system to go all across the 13 states where Igbos are indigenous to. This is a massive one coming from Nnamdi Kanu, because this man is being held in the DSS custody and he has spent over 4 years there. But at the same time, he still has the interest of the Igbo land at hand. For a man who has spent 4 years of his time in prison, the only thing that should come to your mind right now is, see, I want to live here, I want to regain freedom, and I want to receive absolute peace. But then he's still thinking about other individuals while in custody. At the same time, we had to use some intelligence to summarize every single thing that came from Nnamdi Kanu, so as to pinpoint some facts and get some hidden data and info. Showing right now on your screen are some strategic implications gotten from using an intelligence to break down Kanu's speech. The very first one here is unity building. The second is decentralized empowerment. The third is beyond tribalism. And the fourth is long-term cultural influence. These are the 4 key messages Nnamdi Kanu is trying to pass across to every Igbo out there. Well, moving on swiftly, let's take a look at our next update. While Nnamdi Kanu is passing straight info to Igbos out there, an individual who resides in Norway, yes, a Nigerian who resides in Norway, has officially informed the International Criminal Court of every single thing that has played out in Nigeria and in the USB movement. And shockingly and surprisingly, the ICC responded by giving a hint. So yes, the question here is, who is this individual who reported Nigeria to the ICC? Well, showing right now on your screen is this guy's Twitter bio. His name is Christopher Okenwa. He's an advocate of freedom, human rights, and human dignity, social scientist, Norwegian healthcare professional, and so on and so forth. So yesterday, this guy wrote a formal letter that he published on his Twitter page addressed to the ICC. He tagged the ICC. Showing right now on your screen is this tweet or open letter written to the ICC. You can pause this particular part of the video to read up and understand, but I'll read up the very first paragraph. It states, "Dear ICC, when and how do we begin the urgent process of holding the Nigerian regime accountable for its offenses against humanity and in the United States of Biafra? I am confident that Amnesty International possesses more than enough evidence to support this, in addition to what our government at USB government will provide." This article also went a step further to give more clarity, and we can't read up every single thing so as not to make this video too long, but you can read up and understand. But in summary, he has reported the Nigerian government to the ICC, stating how these guys have not kept to the fundamentals of human rights. But surprisingly, the ICC gave an hint. They responded with something nobody was expecting, and we did not even expect to see. Showing right now on your screen is a possible hint coming from the ICC. When you take a look at the post, they dropped a link. Showing right now on your screen is the content of that link that was attached to their post, where it gave more clarity and full clarity about how the ICC deals with crimes, and also this highlighted part of your screen. I can't read out this word right now because of some terms and conditions. So, but I know you can clearly see this highlighted word showing right now on your screen. So the ICC are giving more declarations and explanations on how they treat this as per the claims coming from that individual who tagged them on Twitter. So as you can clearly see, the ICC has been notified about Nigerian's government and every single thing within. And we believe in the next coming days, steps will be taken and actions will be done or executed. Well, moving on swiftly, let's take a look at some interesting news regarding Mr. Simon. Yes, the BRGI District Court came out recently to give us some updates, to give us some clear and distinctive updates regarding Simon's case in Finland. Showing right now on your screen is the fact that Simon's case, as we speak, is now being processed, is under processing. That is to say, the BRGI District Court are putting up the evidence, facts, and data, testimonies presented in that court session, and now they are processing all of this info one after the other. But then, when we saw this article or notification, we read through it and we saw something that didn't make sense, something that has not been announced or published by any media outlet in the world as we speak. Yes, today will be the very first time you are seeing this, and this definitely will come as a shocker. The question here is, what was attached in this document that we haven't seen before? Well, let me show it to you. I had to copy it out and make it on a fresh document so you see. It states, the defendant is charged with public provocation to commit a crime with terrorist intent, participation in the activities of a terrorist group, aggravated tax evasion, and violation of the provisions of the Lawyers Act. Hope you guys can clearly see. And just in case you missed it, let me highlight it for you to see. It states violation of the provisions of the Lawyers Act. That is to say, they've added a new offense that Simon somehow, some way violated provisions of the Lawyers Act in Finland. What does this even mean? Well, as we speak, we are yet to clearly understand and fully grasp the nature of this particular offense, because we have not seen this particular charge anywhere before. I believe this is going to be the very first time you are seeing it. BBC did not report this. Vanguard did not report it. Any media outlets in the country did not report it. But now we are seeing it on an official document released by the BRGI District Court, which is showing right now on your screen. You can pause this video right now and read up and understand, so you see it by yourself in this full article. So what do we think is going on here? Well, as you can clearly see, violation of the provisions of Lawyers Act. We are still trying to do some research to understand every single thing within this particular statement. We are doing some research to understand how Simon probably violated the provisions of Lawyers Act in Finland. This is new, this is strange, and we haven't seen this charge before. So in a video that will be published around 8 p.m. today, we are going to do a full and detailed analysis on every single thing within this particular highlighted sentence showing right now on your screen. So I will advise you to subscribe to this channel and turn on post notifications, because a lot of things will be discussed in our next video briefing. Well, moving on swiftly. This is a news coming from Nigeria that is not related with Simon's case, but it's important we all see it because it still affects the USB people one way or the other. So we received a notification coming from 9mobile. Yes, 9mobile happens to be a network provider in Nigeria that in the past 8 months, these guys have been inactive. So 9mobile claims that they are now very active, very much active in Nigeria. Well, showing right now on your screen is an official statement that states, MTN 9mobile announced roaming agreement rollout. The article also gave us clarity where it states MTN Nigerian Communications PLC and Emerging Market Telecommunication Services Limited 9mobile have officially announced the rollout of their national roaming agreement approved by the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC). In a statement on Thursday, MTN said the development is a landmark move set to redefine Nigeria's telecommunications space. In a nutshell, if you have a 9mobile SIM card, which is very much active to you or for you, you can roam that SIM card to MTN and continue enjoying your network and be able to browse, watch videos, and make phone calls. Hope that is actually very clear. Well, moving on swiftly, let's take a look at our next update, the next revelation we have for you in this video briefing that has to do with the USB and its government. Yes, we received a clear notification coming from the IPOB for the second time. These guys are distancing themselves from Simon and the Simon-led BRGI. Yes, showing right now on your screen is an article coming from Repos Nigeria where it states again, IPOB distances group from Simon's-led BRGI. The article gave us clarity where it states the proscribed Igbo separatist group, the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has once again distanced itself from the Biafran government in exile known as the BRGI, led by Finland-based Simon, stating that attempts to link the group to the BRGI is the work of mischief makers who do not represent the interest of the movement. In a statement issued on Tuesday by its media and publicity secretary, Emma Powerful, IPOB insisted that it has neither endorsed nor recognized BRGI and would never be part of such criminal syndicate. And this is coming from the IPOB. This article also gave us a further clarity where it states Powerful reiterated that the ideologies of the IPOB's incarcerated leader, Nnamdi Kanu, are discipline, non-violence, and moral clarity in the Biafra restoration project. And as such, the group will never sink to the level of attention seekers and imposters who declare government in a barbing saloon without the consent of the people. The attention of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, under the supreme leadership of Nnamdi Kanu, has been drawn to an utterly deranged and disgraceful narrative gaining traction among the intellectually bankrupt, in which cowards and charlatans masquerading from foreign comfort zones as so-called freedom fighters seek to compare Nnamdi Kanu to a self-proclaimed content creator and certified coward, the statement said. So as you can clearly see, Nnamdi Powerful is calling Simon a coward and also a proclaimed content creator. And these are not my own words, mind you, because we've seen a lot of reactions from viewers that will take the words I read from letters and articles as my own words. I have no affiliations with anything whatsoever. I'm just here to give you news and news alone. There are no affiliations in any way, shape, or form. So as you can clearly see, Nnamdi Powerful is calling Simon a content creator. He's calling him charlatans and so many words. And they have also distanced themselves from the BRGI and its factions whatsoever. And like I said, all of these things are in this article I just showed you. You can skip back to the article, read up and understand, so you know that these are not my own words, not my own reactions, not me trying to explain. It's the content as written words for word in that particular article. Well, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think about this statement coming from Nnamdi Powerful? Do you think it's a right thing to say, or do you think he's just trying to make up statements to remain relevant in the Nigerian space? So leave your thoughts in the comment section and I'll be there to read up every single thing as you ask or state. Yes, we also have a news coming from the USB government. The Deputy Prime Minister, in the person of Ngozi Orabueze, yesterday she disclosed a fact that they will have an open space Q&A session, an open space questions and answers session on Twitter. Interestingly, that session was successful and over 300 individuals participated, listening and asking questions to the USB government regarding different questions that needs clarity. One of the biggest questions that was asked in that Q&A session was about Simon and the possibility of him being granted bail. The DPM said that the legal counsel team of Simon are currently working for a possible bail conditions and possible bailing of this man. And she said that there are a lot of challenges, a lot of ambiguities regarding his bail. But as we speak, people are on it and they are working on it day and night. And that is the response coming from the Deputy Prime Minister. We're showing right now on your screen is a post or article she released 9 hours ago to confirm the fact that a Q&A session was held some hours back. It states, breaking, USB Q&A, over 300 participants on Zoom and many watching outside the Zoom at the USB questions and answers session. USB is a sovereign state and we are building it solidly and steadily. DPM. Yes, and this is coming from her official Twitter page. Well, moving on swiftly, a Biafran who worked under the Nigerian military and Nigerian army came out recently to give a revelation and a full-scale expose regarding what he noticed, something he saw firsthand regarding Buhari when he met him in person. Well, for better understanding, let me show you this tweet and you can read for yourself. It states, this is coming from a user known as Somtolism7. It states, someone should tag Rufai the Fire that I, Chibundu Somto Chuku Daniel, ex-Nigerian soldier, said that I was present in the 7th Division barracks during the Buhari second presidential campaign. The dude soldiers mounted guard for wasn't Buhari. Stop covering atrocious behavior of your pay makers or pay masters. And as you can see, this is coming from this user. Showing right now on your screen are his pictures, which he posted by himself. He claimed that he has worked under the Nigerian army and he has met Buhari in person during the last presidential campaign. He saw him in person, he observed him and noticed that this man is not the Buhari we all think he is. this man probably can be an imposter. And this is a statement allegedly coming from this individual, showing right now on your screen. So now, let's take a look at the main event, the main discussions for this video. Yes, as we speak, the Finnish authorities came out recently to give us clarity and a better understanding regarding Simon's extradition process and every other thing within. Just in case you don't know, the Nigerians FG said they've made attempts to bring this man back into the country. They claim that they've made attempts to bring him back into the geographical settings. But then some things has changed and there are a lot of updates regarding this particular matter. First thing first, showing right now on your screen is an article coming from Yale, which happens to be one of the biggest media outlets in Finland. And this guys, through its Ministry of Justice, gave a revelation which stated that a lot of media outlets in Nigeria, a lot of publications, TV channels have been claiming that Simon's process for extradition is ongoing and the federal government of Nigeria is making moves to bring him into the country. But Yale are saying that, see, we have not received anything from the Nigerian government, and even if we do, we are not going to send this man to you. He's a Finnish citizen. We respect his fundamental human rights, and we don't trust Nigeria enough to be able to respect the fundamental human rights of our own citizens. So therefore, if we receive any documentations or application from the government of Nigeria, it's going to be turned down immediately without even thinking twice. And showing right now on your screen is the full article. You can actually read up and understand. This is coming from the Yale, which happens to be, like I said, the biggest media outlet in that country. This is where we get most of our news, and this is where we get full updates regarding Simon's case. And it's something you can do from the comfort of your home whenever you want to be informed and updated. Well, moving on swiftly, yesterday being the 16th of July of 2025, the Finnish police came out to give us more info and more revelations regarding the case of Simon that we all definitely need to see and understand at this particular point in time. Yes, the Finnish police informed the world that, see, Simon is in our custody in the correctional facility known as Kilamakoski. But before then, back in 2023, when we arrested him firstly, we informed him of certain things. We told him that, see, things will be done and you need to put yourself in order and package yourself before we come for you later in the future. Yes, in a video published yesterday, we clearly showcased and we clearly exposed every single conversation heard between the Finnish police and Simon, and how Simon was informed, how he knew that this day would come and this particular point in time would definitely come. So Simon knew and he was prepared. Yes, and just in case you missed our video yesterday, that video contains a lot of info that you definitely need to see at this particular point in time, and that video is right on this channel. So if you want to watch the video and get full updates, it's very, very simple. You can click on the video or the icon of our channel and go to the video section. Go to the video before this particular one you're watching and you see it. Finnish police gave revelations regarding Simon's case. Or if you don't want to do that, you can go to the description box of this video